My name is Andrew Baxter, and I am here to talk to you about the Missouri Leader Standards, as well as common struggles from an administrative point of view, um, and in regards to athletics as well. First off, there are 6 standards that I will go through thoroughly, along with giving examples of how each pertains to the administrative field, as well as common struggles I see as currently as a classroom teacher and will see as an administrator. The first standard is vision, mission, and goals. Indicator number 1, establish the vision, mission, and goals. This should be established, agreed upon, and you should come to that mission and vision through collaboration with your teaching or athletic staff. They have to believe in the mission and vision of what you are trying to do, whether it's athletics or whether it is running a school building. Next, you have to implement the vision. All students must be aware of the mission and vision. All staff must be aware of the mission and vision. And you must believe in it. Problems occur when people do not believe in it. And you have staff members who, without trying, work against you because they have other priorities and they are not upholding the mission and vision as well as you would like them. Also, it is tough when you lose a staff member unexpectedly, whether that is for unforeseen medical reasons or unforeseen issues regarding their dismissal. It could be an administrative leave. Several issues could come up in those regards, a family emergency, all of those things. Okay, so it's important that when you are trying to incorporate the vision and mission, it is very important that you're aware of the school culture as well. I know at my school, I teach in an urban school district, and there is a lot of staff turnover. I'm one of the more tenured staff members in my building. I've been there for 4 years, and occasionally there is a teacher who will leave us, and in that case is replaced by either a substitute or another teacher who is coming in who is not as well naturally trained and introduced to the mission and vision of the school. Standard 2, teaching and learning. Quality indicator number 1, promote positive school culture. You must develop school culture prior to the year starts because, you can be positive all you want, but once the kids are there, it's hard to promote, keep building on it. It has to be promoted from the ground up with team building activities to start off the year, as long as collaboration and just total buy-in on the staff, whether that's coaching staff or teaching staff. Quality indicator number 2, provide an effective instructional program. Stick to your guns on what you want to implement, whether it is a uniform classroom across the school at the elementary level. There should be some transparency. There are several different learning styles. However, there should be transparency. You should see a handful of things in every room to ensure student success. Okay, that can be the simplest things like in the elementary level having a number line or a word wall. Okay, simple things like that. Or you could also really focus on, if you need to, incorporating technologies. That's a huge component I see nowadays with scholars struggling with the technology aspect on the standardized test. It's important that needs to be addressed daily, as well as listening. There's listening pieces. Quality indicator number 3, ensure continuous professional learning. Okay, never go through the motions with professional development. There's always a learning opportunity. I think a good rule of thumb that I see is oftentimes administrators try to revisit the mission and vision statements too late. I believe that should be really hit hard at the beginning of the year, touched on throughout the year, but definitely getting total buy-in at the beginning is an absolute must. I think later on in the year, just listening to your teachers, if you want buy-in, what additional training do they want? It might make professional learning much more beneficial to the overall staff. Standard 3, management of organizational systems. Quality indicator number 1, manage the organizational structure. Okay, that just talks about being consistent. A challenge that might come up in all administrative areas is, say, when you are asked to do something else by somebody who works above you. Developing and being consistent with the organizational structure is a must. If you're told you need to cut down on suspensions, that's something you have to do, but until then, you must be as consistent as possible for the children involved, not only in schools, but also in athletic programs. You have to be consistent with your staff. If you're getting on one staff member about something, you have to get on another person if they do the same thing that is not in compliance. You have to treat everybody equally as far as that is concerned. And be ready to motivate, be ready to listen. Okay, teachers and coaches have needs as well, and you are there as much as for support as anything else. That goes along with managing different personalities in the classroom or on a team. It's the same thing as an administrator. Your team is your staff. Quality indicator number 3, manage your resources. Sometimes you have limited resources. Sometimes your resources change. There might be a huge cut on budgets. There might be a situation where you have a very tight budget and you think you got a little money left over, and boom, district takes it from you, has it for someone else. You have to be prepared for that. It's obviously a setback if you're saving that money for something and it's taken away from you, but at the same time, it's important to have a plan to start off the year. Oftentimes, I always think of planning throughout and making those purchases beforehand before you don't have that opportunity. Standard number 4, collaboration with families and stakeholders. Build a positive relationship with your families and stakeholders. They're the ones that make your program, your school run. Quality indicator number 1, collaborate with families and other community members. Reach out to them, invite them into your school. Invite them to help out in your athletic program. Okay? Ask them to volunteer. Encourage them to volunteer. Encourage their kids to play in your sports program or participate in after-school activities, or in general, just go into your school. Quality indicator number 2, respond to community interest and needs. It is very, very difficult in a community facing poverty to inspire people like that, just because there's not a lot of resources where you can really plan events and stuff like that, and it's often a kind of a culture shock, if you will, when someone different as yourself comes around and asks for you to do more. It can also be a culture shock the other way around for communities and parents and fans getting used to one way, and then a new athletic administrator comes in and says, we're going to do this, this, and this different. It's going to be a culture shock. You got to stick to your guns while building positive relationships and be willing to listen to them too. Quality indicator number 2, respond to community interests and needs. Listen to them. See what is needed. Brighten up the community, whether that's a new sports field or having the school reach out and do something else. Quality indicator number 3, mobilize community resources. Mobilize community resources. That is very important, because coming into a new job, you have to know what your resources are before moving forward with something. I think that is tremendously important, because oftentimes that's what the first thing you should do. Okay, if you are running an athletic program and you have 3 athletic facilities on campus, one on campus, you need to be aware of how you're going to manage your buses. How many buses do you have per day for all of these activities? When are you going to need to schedule away games and use the buses? Oftentimes, school districts have a limited number of buses you can use, and a certain time you have to contact them, as it costs the school money. Standard 5, ethics and integrity. Goes without saying. You have to be consistent as administrator, athletic administrator, principal. It does not matter. Be personal and professional. Okay, never give in to temptation and act emotionally. Stick to your guns, be classy, never put yourself in a situation, no matter how challenged by a parent, a teacher, a student, another staff member, never put yourself in a position where you could be removed from your job or said that you said something you really didn't or you really didn't mean. Standard 6, professional development, one of the biggest headaches for principals all over the area. Increase knowledge and skills based on best practices. Okay, a challenge with that is when you have a staff that there's bad culture in the building. You're trying to change that. How do you get them to pay attention at professional development, especially when they're older teachers set in their own ways? That's one of the bigger challenges first year, second year principals, athletic administrators have is when you have a teaching staff set in their ways. How are you going to encourage them to actively participate and develop professionally? Those are the 6 standards. I'll go through them once again. We have Standard 1, vision, mission, and goals. Standard 2, teaching and learning. Standard 3, management of organizational systems. Standard 4, collaboration with families and stakeholders. Standard 5, ethics and integrity. Standard 6, professional development. Thank you very much. Those are the 6 standards and some challenges you may face.